Hello and welcome. Today we're gonna take a look at a viewer submitted game. This is a match played by your neighbor Mr. Wang in the Tier 8 American aircraft carrier the Lexington. It is a Tier 8 match on the map Shards. And even though this is a viewer submitted game, I generally don't like doing viewer submitted games, particularly carrier matches, because the replays end up looking slightly janky, and you don't see the actual drop indicators, meaning that you don't quite get the same information and experience. However, this is an exceptional game. It was submitted to me, not actually by your neighbor Mr. Wang, however, a friend of his. And considering that this is a damage record game, I did want to show it. Right now you can see that they are trying to fly around one another. This Shokaku seems to want to cut him off so that he can drop a fighter on him, but it's very difficult to do. Look, you can see a fighter just dropped, but it's very difficult to do unless you get in front of the ship, because it takes time for the fighter to drop down, and so that was basically a waste of time for the Shokaku. Mr. Wang here was able to do the drop and did not aggro the fighter. Now he's doing a drop on the Nelson. Looks pretty good. The first drop actually didn't work out, but the second one worked out quite fine. Also, it's interesting to note that he started with torpedo bombers rather than anything else. To me it's interesting because, honestly, I kinda like using rocket planes first, although I haven't played enough Lexington to know whether this is a good idea. Wait, what? The Shokaku actually struck him? Why? This is such a bad idea. So, if anybody doesn't understand why it's a bad idea to attack a CV, it's because you don't do anything with it. A CV's effectiveness is not dependent on how much HP they have. Other ships do require HP to be effective, because if you are at, for example, 2000 HP, then you can't go and fight ships head-on. By the way, you might be wondering why Mr. Wang right there dropped his bombs into the water just like that. And the reason is that you only have a limited amount of planes. As you can see, it's 16 down there. And what he wanted to do is that if he loses all of those, he would lose all the planes that he had if he goes in for an attack. But if he drops some down, then those planes will fly back onto the carrier, and he doesn't risk those planes. And as a result, it's slightly safer. I generally don't like doing this, even though at first I thought of doing it. But I realized that some of the anti-air seems to be spread out across the planes or something like that, so you can actually do a drop as a follow-up and simply just cancel the drop early. And as you can see, he just flew the dive bombers back, because actually doing the rest of the drop is, well, pointless, because he would simply lose the planes before he manages to do any attacks. But that is a strategy people use, where they start, especially at the start of the game, they launch their planes, they drop their first drop into the water, or sometimes even 2 drops into the water, and then they suicide in with the plane. So if they lose it, they only lose half a squadron, or, you know, the last bit of the squadron. So it's not that big of a deal. Okay, now it seems he's going for a drop on the destroyer. No, sorry, the Belfast in the smoke. That's a good idea. It probably won't hit the Belfast, but the Belfast will be forced to push out of the smoke screen, and the North Carolina, you know, next to his carrier might actually have something to say about that. Next target seems to be that Nelson. Interesting that he went into the drop so early. I would love to see what the drop cone looks like. Let's take a look. Okay. Okay, actually, yeah, no, the drop cone was fine. Wow, that did 5,000 damage. I'm actually impressed. I bet Midway would have done 2,000. Okay, I'm joking. Probably would be the same damage. It just hit the nose of the ship rather than a torpedo belt. But you guys can see, like, the jankiness, right? At times, like, it just seems weird. and you can't see the drop patterns, but so far the game hasn't been too bad. His team has lost one ship, a cruiser. Let's see. It's a Myoko. And the enemy team hasn't lost anything. Actually, looking on the minimap, this is a good game, because at least for the green team, or the red team, sorry, the green team is spread out, meaning that it should be easier for the red team to take and hold A and B, because they can kill the ships over here at the top. There's only 3 against like 6, and all the red team has to do over here is basically hold their ground. Of course, the CV will try to have something to say about it. Dive bombers versus Belfast. I'm not sure. Yeah, actually, this is going to be very effective. Belfast doesn't have a heal, so any kind of HE damage is good. That did like 6k damage, I believe. So that was definitely worth it. I guess the follow-up is on the... No, not on the... No, it is on the Nelson. I'm surprised here. I think he started to drop a bit. Yeah, he dropped really high up because he started to drop too close. God damn, the jankiness, man.
We're under attack.
I really wish it was at least smooth when you follow it. Oh well, it is what it is. So his team has actually lost 2 ships. A second cruiser, a Mogami went down as well. That is unfortunate. Oh, by the way, there are no Ds in this game. No destroyers at all. Only cruisers and battleships. So you can guess why the result happened. That will end up happening. Okay, I'm guessing he's gonna try to take an... Oh, he's gonna drop the Belfast, I think, again. Yep. There it is. Again, it will force the Belfast out of the smoke, so his team should be able to engage him. And that's obviously going to be very useful. And you know, if things go badly, not badly, not according to plan, then the Belfast simply gets hit. And this one is probably on the Bismarck. Oh no, is it the Colorado? Yeah, it is the Colorado. I am surprised. I suppose the Bismarck might have seemed like he was turning in, so... The drop on the Colorado... Yeah, the drop on the Colorado was great. All 3 torpedoes hit. So that was good. Wait, he's not going for the CV, right? I would honestly just send the torpedo bombers back. There's no point in going for the 3rd attack, but... I suppose if he wants to use the heal, that's fine. It's not like torpedo bombers are super important anyway. Seems like the Colorado is happily taking that flooding. And that's okay too. Although he did get hit again. Even though the torpedo bombers might not deal that much damage, it does add up, and I do think that Colorado's game is gonna be pretty difficult from this point onward. He doesn't have enough HP, and this is why... Remembered earlier, I guess I didn't finish the thought, so... That Colorado is low HP now. This means that the Colorado cannot go do things that are expected of a battleship. He can't just push in like the Bismarck, for example, because if he does, he simply dies off. And then the threat of him is gone. He kinda has to play at long range. Now, on a CV, this doesn't matter, because your CV is so far away that it's irrelevant. And Jesus, 10k damage on the Nelson. Yeah, I think this Nelson is kinda finished as well. I would actually go back and do another drop, because... yeah, he's gonna try hitting the Belfast here, and it's probably gonna be fairly easy. But... Oh, no, he missed. Okay. I would have gone for back to the Nelson to finish her off, though, because she is... Well, she does have a super heal. I suppose going for the Colorado is a good idea, too. Almost, but not quite. Also, the camera jumps are pretty annoying, but somebody should be able to finish that Colorado off. All it takes is just like one attack. I'm kinda surprised he launched torpedo bombers. I would have expected rocket planes at this point to finish the Colorado, and then, I don't know, go drop something else, and the Nelson, for example. But I suppose torpedo bombers are fine too if you want to damage farm. Jesus! His team has lost 6 ships. The enemy has lost 2. I feel like this isn't maybe going so well. Although damage-wise it's going great. 10 minutes in, he has 145k damage. Can't complain. And he's gonna get another 8,000 here, and the Nelson will sink. Camera, please, why do you do this to me? Actually, no, not 8,000, only 4,000. Only one of those torpedoes hit. I did expect 2 to hit. Well done by the Nelson, I suppose, or perhaps it was simply a user error by the Lexington. Hard to say. But the match isn't quite as bad anymore. It's 6 ships lost versus 4. I don't think... Oh yeah, these are dive bombers. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, this guy is gonna take a lot of damage. 9.2k plus 2 fires. And this Bismarck is done for. Wait, he's going for the Belfast again. I suppose it does make some sense because you get to do a nice drop. Okay, he's dropping from the side, which isn't too bad, I suppose. I do think he is not quite... Yeah. Nope, his drop was very good. 5 hits? Yeah, that's very well done. So there's a trick you can do where you can have a very high chance of hitting many of your bombs by dropping at the right speed and time into the drop, even if you approach from the side like that. Ooh, another 5 hits, and I think that's the end of the Belfast. Oh no, actually she has a kill still. These are rocket planes. Yeah, they're gonna go finish her off. Wait, are these Tiny Tims? There's 2 of them. This does mean they're Tiny Tims, right? Yeah, I would use the bigger rockets too, but I'm not quite certain that these are the bigger rockets. I think they are though, because the bigger rockets basically become like mini dive bombers, since you can hit battleships with them and all those things. I don't actually know if the Lexington has any choice in there. I haven't really played enough of the ship. Let's see how many rockets. Yeah, I think these are at least larger rockets than the normal ones. And then he sends them back. Makes sense. Well, now his team has 3 ships left. The enemy team has 6. 2 CVs and a cruiser versus 2 CVs, a battleship, and 3 cruisers. Who do you think is gonna win? Points-wise, at least they have stopped the hemorrhaging by at least holding on to the B cap. This York is a godsend over there. 195k damage so far. I think this is going rather well. And I think the game isn't actually over yet. That Myoko is fairly vulnerable, and so is the Monarch over here. I bet the Shokaku is going to, or at least should, drop... I don't know if this is gonna work. Is it gonna work? It is! I'm surprised. I figured those torpedoes would actually hit the island. I don't think that's gonna work on the Myoko. I think she's gonna be too fast. Yeah, she's gonna only take 1. Oh well, that's fine. Dive bomber follow-up, and this is definitely gonna finish the Monarch. The Shokaku should have given a fighter to the Monarch. Absolutely should have. This would have actually helped the Myoko too, because there isn't really enough room to maneuver around them, and the Lexington would have had to... Mr. Wang here would have had to sacrifice his bombers, I think, to even take out the Myoko. But now it's easy. Goodbye, Monarch, and goodbye, Myoko. I mean, there's no chance that this guy is surviving this. There is a fighter, but it's a tad too late. He should have launched this, well, like 20 seconds earlier. Oh, there it is. And then the Hurt Squadron goes back, and we're gonna launch some rocket planes. Because, I'm guessing his reserves aren't the greatest, and, well, that definitely has rocket planes considering how few he has used so far. And he does have to deal with the Baltimore and the New Orleans and 2 CVs. And these are tier 8 CVs, or a tier 8 and a tier 6 CV, meaning that their decks aren't very well armored, meaning that dive bombers and rocket planes can deal a lot of damage to them. But it's first the Baltimore. By the way, the Baltimore is an amazing ship. Like, wow, none of them hit. Okay. The Baltimore is an amazing ship, by the way. Like, utterly amazing, especially if you're top tier in a tier 8 match like this guy is. Because Bismarck AP, for example, cannot overmatch the bow of a Baltimore. Because Baltimore has 27mm of armor everywhere. And 380mm caliber guns cannot overmatch that. So King George, Duke of York, Bismarck, these cannot overmatch that. Only the North Carolina can. And many of the ships tier 8 and below, battleships I mean, have that kind of armor. And this is gonna hurt Baltimore. Yep, 5 hits, 10k damage, a fire. It's a bit absurd for a tier 8 CV, but unfortunately this is how it is. And this is gonna be I don't actually know if this is gonna work as well as that last one did. Probably gonna still kill the Baltimore though. No! Oh, I guess the fire is, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Now it's 1 cruiser and 2 CVs against 2 CVs. Yeah, there are torpedo bombers going for the Lexington, but let's be honest, he still has 40,000 HP. What's the enemy CV's just... It's very difficult to kill a CV. And honestly, match-wise, he is in a very good position right now. They have 2 points. Yes, they are 100 points behind, but what's the chance that they won't kill a single ship? And killing 1 ship, for example, a CV, swings points by 110 points, which would make them the victors. And as you can see, that was a lot of damage to the Ranger, but now the squadron is dead. The fighter is... Wait, what? Fighter went away? What? Wait, what? Why did the fighter go away? That seemed weird. But another 7,000 damage. And there goes all the planes trying to attack the Lexington. Honestly, I would be trying to sail my ship closer at this point. I mean, the chance of actually dying for the Lexington is low. Especially since he just dropped a fighter there as well, so... The enemy... If you sit in the fighter coverage, it's gonna be very difficult for a CV to take you out, especially since there's only 2 minutes left. I think it would have just made a lot of sense to just keep sailing closer. You get to do more strikes. Maybe, you know, the few seconds will help you win the match. But I do think that this is pretty much in the bag though. I don't see how this Ranger is gonna survive. He only needs to do a rocket plane follow-up and this is definitely over. Yep, Ranger's definitely getting hit there. And goodbye and hello Kraken Unleashed. 288,000 damage so far, and they have a 60-point lead. Which is very nice. There's still 1 minute and 40 seconds to go, so there's probably gonna be some more damage done. But the targets are New Orleans and the Shokaku. I would prefer actually striking the Shokaku at this point. Sorry, the New Orleans at this point, because Shokaku has better anti-air than a Ranger, and the fighter is more effective, so... You might get more strikes in. Although at this point there isn't all that much time left in the match, so... How important that is another matter. Wait, what? Why did he send him back? What? Why not? Why not just try to strike the Shokaku? She was clearly on the island. Wait, what? Where's J9? Okay, no, never mind. I don't know. I have no idea why he went back. I guess maybe to launch another plane on his ship, but really, was it worth it? I suppose. But on the other hand, even if he dies at this point, they still win the game, because, look, a CV is minus 65 points to allies and plus 45 to enemies, so that's a 110 point swing, but they're gonna be 110 points ahead in like 1 tick. And there it is. Even if he dies, they still win the game. So there's really no reason to worry about the CV at this point, but I suppose more damage with the rocket planes is gonna be good. Only gonna be 1 drop though. And it did a pitiful 5k damage. If he had come with the torpedo bombers, I guess he wouldn't get multiple, maybe he would actually. So he might have done more damage since he would have had more time. Couldn't do a second drop anyway. Oh well. It was a great game though, and it wasn't actually that exceptional if you look at it, because there wasn't like no really insanely crazy stuff that went on. Things just lined up. And I suppose the matchmaking was a big reason why this worked out so well. Because there were no destroyers, so everything he hit had a lot of HP, and because of that, here we have the damage record. Yes, I know the screenshot is in Chinese, but this is actually the EU server. You can go look it up on like WoW's numbers, or some other website like that. And this is not only an EU record, but also a world record so far in the Lexington. So very well done by your neighbor Mr. Wang. And thank you very much for sharing it with us. And thank you very much, Makise Kurisu, for sending it to me. It's a very good match and very well played by the CV. I just wish the replay system itself were better, where it would simply show the same type of match you would see when I record these. But I mean, he got the Confederate, Kraken Unleashed, High Caliber, sank 5 ships, shot a whole bunch of planes down, but honestly, the talk is all about the damage, I suppose. 26 torpedo hits, 50 dive bomber hits, and 17 rocket hits. Fires and floodings too. And here's the XP. Got a nice 3629 base XP. He definitely deserved to win this match. And the second CV on his team was at 1093. I bet he felt a bit outclassed. Or I suppose maybe the enemy team CVs felt a bit outclassed. Oh well, number 2 on his team actually did get closer than half of his XP. Just, well, Mr. Wang over here had a much better game. And he was in a ship that was very influential. This was a great game, and I loved looking at it. Thank you very much for sending it in again. And I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for continued support, Leops, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.